On tonight's House of Tiny Tearaways, two young mums struggling to cope.
Decide. It's just come to a point where the kids have come involved with us getting married.
A new family causes chaos. And a familiar face is back.
How's the swearing?
This is the all-new House of Tiny Tearaways. Now, if you thought it was all about screaming children, you'd be wrong. It's all about relationships and being in love. Or not.
What?
When relationships are at breaking point,
I love my little girl so much, and sometimes I really hate her dad.
young families are on the edge.
Mum, I'm not getting pushed around no more!
And the kids are out of control.
Stop fighting! Stupid.
This is where they come, the House of Tiny Tearaways. Two of the country's leading child psychologists, Laverne and Elizabeth Kilby, are on hand to provide intensive therapy. They will observe how these young parents operate and then intervene to help them turn their lives around.
I just can't cope with it.
All the parents coming into the house over this month-long TV event are hoping that Laverne and Elizabeth can make a real difference to their lives. But whether they can remains to be seen.
You naughty, naughty daddy.
Oh my God.
22-year-old mum Melissa and 25-year-old car sprayer Gareth desperately want to stop their 4-year-old son Lennon and 3-year-old daughter Sky from ruining their relationship. Their constant fighting and aggressive behaviour has affected Gareth so much that he's called off their wedding.
I just thought, well, if we get married, it's just going to get worse, really. So I just said, like, just call it off for this year.
After just a few hours in the house, Elizabeth and Laverne noticed that Melissa has a harsh way with the kids.
Pick it up.
And never plays with them. While Gareth's play seems to be inspired by Quentin Tarantino.
Knuckle duster.
Baba.
So it's actually the parents more than the kids who need to change their behaviour.
I want to be very clear with you that there can be no smacking in the house at all.
26-year-old Stacey and her 25-year-old husband Paul came into the house to regain control of their 3-year-old son Maddox and 2-year-old daughter Leisha. Unlike their well-behaved half-brother, 9-year-old Morgan, they have a particularly naughty side, and it's making Mum feel out of control and bringing out the worst in Dad.
I do feel that I've got some control over them, but that does involve shouting at them.
But since coming into the house, it's become clear that their different approaches to parenting are causing problems in their relationship.
He scares me when he does it, so the kids must be scared as well, I think.
It's late afternoon, and as Gareth tries out his newly improved playing skills with Lennon and Sky, Mum Melissa is sitting this one out.
Right. Who's on there?
It's me.
Is it you? Where are you counting there?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Here we come. Ding, ding, ding. 5.
Later today, both families will be leaving for a weekend break from the house. Both Melissa and Stacey struggle with assertiveness and have trouble managing their kids, so Laverne and Elizabeth have set them a pretend shopping task.
Hey, Stacey looks worried.
Let's see.
No need to be worried. Now, you are going to go away this weekend and you're going to be practising feeling and being in control, particularly the mums. We're just going to have a bit of a practice of it now so I can see what happens. You're going to stand and you're going to say, go and name your child, go and get me, and whatever it is.
Can you
okay?
go get me a
So we need this little one to feel like she's...
Can you get me a bunch of grapes? Sky, go and get me an apple, please.
This one,
That one, please.
that one and that one.
Yeah, please.
This one.
Lennon, come here.
As Melissa manages Sky and Lennon calmly, the fruit gathering isn't so straightforward for Stacey.
Lily. Leisha. Don't ignore me. Can you get me that orange, please?
No.
It's a really nice big one.
I think I'll go.
I think you can do it.
No.
Come on, Lennon. Let Lily do it. I got a special job for you.
Good lad, Lennon.
Maddie, Lennon. Lily's hand. Can you go and get me a banana, please? Maddie, can you go and get me the orange?
Me.
Thank you. You wait here.
I want to get one.
Come on. It's going to get put. Thank you. Good boy. Good
Okay,
girl.
well done. A round of applause for those two.
Yay.
Well done. You take a bow.
Whee! Bow. You bowing?
Both families still have a lot of work to do, so there'll be no lazy Sundays for this lot when they leave the house for the weekend.
I'm sitting on loads of
Laverne takes Stacey and Paul to the quiet room to tell them what they'll be doing instead.
Okay, it's actually time for me to set you a bit of homework. And Stacey, what I want you to do is I want you to go shopping with Maddie and Lily to give you another chance to just practice giving them some commands and being quite clear about what you want them to do. Okay. And let's just see how you get on. Oh dear, you're looking worried.
Yeah.
Oh! I can't sit down. I'm stuck. You can now. I'm stuck.
Next in to collect their homework are Gareth and Melissa.
Yeah, we watched a little bit this morning, and I have to take my hat off to you guys because I think that you have been brilliant today, and you have played with your children today in a way that has made them much calmer.
Just think, yeah.
I think, Melissa, you've given us a little bit of more of a window, sort of opened a bit wider into sometimes how difficult it can be for you to play.
I try not to get too involved because I never do it.
Right.
Because like when I'm at home, they just get bored.
We need to see what happens when you're left with the kids alone. So the task is just for you, and it's to go shopping with the children, to try and show us what happens when you get the children to try and help you, and we're going to film it.
Yeah.
Okay.
How are you feeling about what Laverne's just...
Frightened.
Yeah?
Yeah. Upset
Yeah?
as well. Yeah.
What's up? What's the matter? Come on, this is what we come for, innit?
Tell us what you're thinking, Melissa.
Just because I just know it's not going to work.
Okay. What, that going out with the children on your own is not going to work?
Just spending time doing stuff with him.
Okay.
Without him being there.
Okay.
Can I have a guess at what I think might be part of what's upsetting you and hard about this is that you've heard Laverne and I say that we thought Gaz was doing some things really well, and then we've turned to focus on what we want you to do, and that can very much sound like what we think you're not doing well.
Yeah. Because he just gets on with it, because it doesn't bother him. You know what I mean? It doesn't bother him. It's like my friends keep saying, oh, do this with him, do that with him. I'd love to do something with him, but I've just got no control whatsoever.
I'm surprised to hear how low your confidence is to be with your children. And I really think that, you know, in order to be their mum and just to have a normal everyday life, part of that is actually being able to go out with both your kids at the same time, to do stuff with them, and to feel that you've got the confidence to do that without Gaz.
Better now.
Yeah.
You've got a little bit more time to spend in the house, I think.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then, you know, we've got a few goodbyes to say.
Right.
So we'll let you know.
Alright. See, they've not been able to say, have they? But when we come back on Monday, then they can say, like, well, do this, you know, and try this, innit? I've improved in a few hours.
You've given them challenges, because I know they're going home, and you want to see them go out, take on board what you've said, and then come back.
And I mean, what we wanted to do was not create something that didn't really replicate what happens outside. So we've asked her to go shopping with the 2 children and to get them to help her with the shopping.
This is a very normal thing. This is not glamorous, and she fell apart. She's got these 2 children and couldn't cope with it.
No. And I think that's what the tears were really about. We'd asked her to do something very everyday and ordinary, and suddenly the enormity of how difficult her life is just overwhelmed her. I can't even feel like I can take my 2 children shopping, something that probably in her mind every parent feels that they can do.
And also what I felt, I might be wrong because you guys are obviously in the room, I felt like she was embarrassed. Like she felt shamed by the fact that she didn't just go, yeah, great, do you want us to pick up an aubergine? She was just like this, especially in front of him, because I'm not sure whether he understands the enormity, because he was like, come on, love, this is what we came in for, we're just going to the shops.
She was very, very embarrassed, I think, and suddenly everything came flooding back to her, because she then went on and talked about friends who say, come on, Melissa, just do it, you know, kids are difficult. But for her, it's more than kids just being difficult. It's quite punishing. It feels like quite an attack, I think, on her, an attack on her and her confidence. And I think that's something we'll have to pick up with her next week, because it wasn't, you know, we knew she'd be upset, but it was a level of being upset that was quite worrying.
Both couples have rounded up their kids and packed their bags, ready for a weekend break at home.
I'll see you Monday.
Thanks very much.
Okay, so see you Monday.
All right.
Have a good weekend. Yeah, good luck.
Can struggling mums Stacey and Melissa get through their shopping trips in one piece? It's Monday morning, and after a weekend break, the House of Tiny Tearaways is once again open for business. And a whole new family are the first in.
You're not going to win the argument. Stop it. I am. You're not. I am.
2 sets of boisterous twins are tearing this family to pieces.
I've never ever seen 3 and 5-year-olds with so much aggression.
This is the Norwood family from Sheffield. Hannah, 23, and Mark, 29, are having nightmares controlling 5-year-old William and Daniel, and Thomas and Jacob, who are 3.
When I was 17, I met Mark. Within a very short space of time, I conceived with twins, with William and Daniel, and then 2.5 years later I had Thomas and Jacob.
One set of twins were a shock to begin with, but the second was unexplainable.
They're fighting for attention constantly. They're just using the violence and the behaviour to get the attention that they're wanting from us. William is the boss, the ringleader, takes control of his brothers. Daniel's mardy, first one to cry, very whingy. Thomas, very quiet, sits in the background, follows William around like a little lost sheep. Jacob, Jekyll and Hyde, 1 minute is lovely, the next minute is a totally different child and uncontrollable. Everything we've tried, nothing's worked. It's just a case of letting them calm down or trying to remove them from the situation before it gets any worse.
Not only are they hurting each other, they're also self-harming.
I mean, I've seen other kids fight and stuff over toys and just normal playing, but I've never seen them bite their hands and get aggressive like that. They really bite themselves. They really do get teeth marks into their own hands, and it looks horrible, really.
At the moment, I get to the point where I can't control my kids' aggression.
But one child's behaviour in particular is extremely worrying for them.
I'm scared of Jacob turning around and clouting me when he's older, because he's strong now, and I dread to think what he's going to be like when he's older. Really dread, that was walking around with a black eye from my own son.
I've seen him with Anna, what he's like with Anna, and I can see her point, what she says about him, and I've seen it myself, where he can be. He goes that one step further.
It's frightening, very frightening.
After a full day's work, it's just unbearable. When you see the same thing every night, it's just aggression you don't want to see, so it gets you down and you start shouting and getting snappy, and it just winds you up, really winds you up. Sometimes you just have to walk out the door and just try and calm yourself down.
If we don't get any help, or if we can't try and help the situation, try and turn it around, it's just going to get 10 times worse.
So, 2 sets of twins, I mean, goodness, all boys. That's hard for anyone, isn't it? Are you surprised by just how much they're fighting?
It seems remarkable. I mean, I don't know how those parents are surviving in this household, and particularly Mum. I mean, I just kept looking at her and thinking, you're the only female in this household with all of these boys.
I picked up on the fact that each one has almost got an epithet. Do you know what I mean? William, I think, ringleader.
Yes.
Daniel is, whingy. Thomas is quiet, and Jacob is the one they're really worried about. They say that he's Jekyll and Hyde and gives his mum black eyes.
It always fascinates me, the descriptions that parents give to their children. It's almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy. I mean, these parents are telling us that the first description they can think of about their children is just how dreadful they are. Yeah. I mean, where is the good bits of this, and where is the sort of other side of these children's personalities or skills?
Let's talk about self-harming, because I've never seen a 3.5-year-old properly bite his own hand.
I think it's really important to break down the meaning of behaviour. Yeah. And negative or aggressive behaviour is always about getting attention. And so if hurting your sibling is going to get mum's attention, but hurting yourself is going to get it even quicker, that's what you're going to do. And most parents would find it unbearable to watch their children hurting themselves.
Mum Hannah says that, and she looked, I have to say, genuinely frightened.
The way in which they just go like this and they're clashing, there's got to be another way that these children relate to each other. That cannot be the only way that they behave. I just, it looks terrifying.
Dan. Daniel, hold Jay's hand.
There's a Norwood family.
It's 9:30 and Elizabeth and Laverne take up their watch positions as the two sets of boisterous twins, 5-year-olds William and Daniel, and 3-year-olds Thomas and Jacob, come tearing into the house ahead of Mum and Dad.
Thomas!
Daniel, up here.
I mean, you just get a sense of what a mission it is, really, to hang on to these 4 children in only one go.
They look like typical boys.
Well, absolutely.
On any family's first day in the house, Elizabeth and Laverne always ask them to behave as normally as possible while they take in the facts for themselves. Once they've fully got to grips with the problem, they can start on the treatment.
Up here. No, it's not up the stairs, left. Mine's coming.
Straight up our stairs.
No, but Mum's rounded them up well.
To help work out a child's character, they've put in a brand new remote control car and a jar of sweets. Both are likely to be the focus of lots of attention. Will the parents lay down the law about fair shares for all, and will the kids take any notice?
You can control cat.
Or be careful.
Mark. Careful.
Right, no, listen. Look, it says parents, which means we did them. In a minute, you can have some in a minute. Have you seen these?
With all 4 boys gunning for the toy car, it's survival of the fittest, and 3-year-old Thomas, the least assertive of the bunch, doesn't get a look in.
You've had it for ages. It's Will's turn.
Thomas.
It's mine. It's mine, I said.
Thomas.
Cups.
You take it in turns. Sit here. Jacob. Jacob. Hey. Stop fighting. Stop fighting.
Oh, exhausting.
William, off the furniture.
I just want to...
I have to say, Mum is looking stressed and harassed already. I mean, I can hear it in her tone of voice, I can see it in her face. She's getting towards breaking point.
You don't mess with that.
Jacob.
I think we almost need to be counting how many times William puts his hand in his mouth and the biting.
Yes.
And what that's in response to.
To break it. Stop.
Notorious troublemaker 3-year-old Jacob is already on form when he decides he doesn't like his microphone.
Stop padding.
Yeah, keep it to his top. Stand him up. You have no choice. You have no choice. I don't care.
Fighting's no good.
There's something wonderfully firm and consistent about Mum. I love her tone of voice when she gets really serious, which I'm not hearing from Dad.
Go. Go on then.
And she looks so tired already.
Defeated, really.
Stop it.
A lot of physical management.
He's a very physical boy.
You can go in a minute. Behave.
I quit.
Quit. Mum says I quit.
Oh. Are we allowed to quit?
Leave it there.
You know that headache
Let's
you said
have a
I've got
look.
rid of, Mark?
Yeah.
It's coming back.
Try going, because I think that Mum's I quit was probably a cue for somebody to come and help her. I'll go and speak to them. Hello, good morning.
Hello.
Morning. Hello. Hello, I'm Laverne.
Oh, nice to meet you.
Mark.
Yes.
Hi, Mark.
Hiya, Hannah.
Hi, Hannah. Hi, boys.
You can say hello.
Hello. Hi, so welcome. Pleased to have you here.
Thank you.
So come on, tell me, main things that we need to work on together.
Jacob.
Right?
Jacob seems to be the one what seems to be padding all the time,
Okay.
in temper.
It's the fighting with all of them. But Jacob's the main one, he's so headstrong.
Really some worries about him and the level of aggression in his behaviour.
Yeah. Everything with Jacob.
Jacob.
Is just, please stop helping yourself to sweets.
Jacob.
Jacob, are you listening?
No.
Jacob.
All right, we've got lots to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
We're going to have a busy week.
It's going to be challenging.
That goes like that, Tom.
10 minutes later, Jacob kicks off again.
I'm going to have to sort it out this way.
We don't need to see any more, do we? I mean, I think this mum needs to have a very quick route to using a timeout with this little boy, because he needs to learn to control his behaviour, and she needs to have an opportunity to really ignore him and not get involved. This is far too close and physical.
With the two other families due back any minute, Elizabeth and Laverne decide to put their observation day on hold and step in.
That's a trampoline.
Now, this is for using with timeout, and I'd like you to use it when there are particularly extreme or aggressive behaviours going on. When you see a behaviour that is particularly aggressive or difficult, something that you want to use timeout for, it's important to get in there very quickly. I'd like you to pick him up quite quickly, put him in over the top and in, and say to him very clearly in one sentence, you are going in timeout because. Then we have the staying there, which is for 1 minute. When it finishes, regardless of what state he's in, even if he is still shaking the pen, your 1 minute has now finished. You went in timeout because of
such and such.
You can now come out.
Okay.
Let him out. You've got to kind of break the mood. I think this is the key thing. Timeout is about, I'm being in charge of you. I'm being very clear that I'm not happy with what you've done.
Right.
But now you've done your crime, you've done your time, we're going back to normal life.
It's now 10:30 and the Norwoods have only been in the house an hour when Jacob has an accident with a brand new remote control car put in for all three families to enjoy.
Anna.
Yeah?
Jacob's done exactly what I tell him not to. Broke the aerial off that.
Oh, you're kidding me.
No. Come on. No, don't throw it.
Oh no. Did he do? Broken the aerial off the toy.
No, don't throw it. Ignore Jacob.
No, you're not.
You went in there because you're doing exactly the same again. Back at table, sit. Well, sit at that table then.
Careful of those plates on the wall, though.
The kids seem to be taking a break from terrorising their parents and turn on at Daddy Longlegs. But little Thomas isn't in the same destructive mood.
There's Thomas, who's out of the loop, gets slightly different treatment.
Thomas is really lagging behind, isn't he, in many ways? Jacob sees himself as an equal to those older boys. Whereas Thomas has a much sort of more drop back position. It's our task about helping this mum understand what these four individuals need. And at the moment I think she's trying to do kind of, crowd control. Hound them as a group. And actually what we can help her do as kind of outside observers is say, what we've noticed is this child needs this and this child... So actually she doesn't feel so overwhelmed at the enormity of trying to meet all their needs.
After a weekend away, the Burns family returned to the house. Before they left, Dad Gareth was pulled up for the violent themes that were always in his playtime with 4-year-old Lennon and 3-year-old Skye.
I made you a boxing gun.
A boxing gun?
Yeah.
Oh, I want to try that.
so he immediately turned his play tactics around and transformed himself into a model dad.
1, 2, 3.
But Mum Melissa was still severely lacking confidence and broke down at the prospect of a shopping trip with the kids.
Just because I just know it's not going to work.
So how has she coped on her own with her tearaways?
Hello.
Hiya.
Hello. Playing hide and seek.
Gaz, Melissa, Hannah.
Mark, Hannah.
Right.
Sky and Lenny.
So. Awesome. Just
Make a brew, man. Make a copper.
I'll just go and throttle them. Sorry. William, Daniel, Thomas. No climbing on the furniture.
All the twins are running riot in the garden. Before Elizabeth watches Melissa's supermarket footage, she wants to know how Melissa thinks it went.
Welcome back, both of you.
Right.
Lovely to see you back again. How are you doing?
Fine.
Fine. Yep.
How was the weekend?
Yesterday was great. Shopping, fantastic. Then it went all the way downhill. We went to go to the restaurant for a meal as a family. But unfortunately, they started. As soon as we got to the restaurant, Lennon was running round. I told him not to run round.
Sky run round, fell.
Sky run round, fell, started screaming
down.
the place down. So then that was it. I could feel myself all worked up, ready for a cry. And I just dragged Sky and I took her upstairs.
It sounds like you've had some real highs, but also some real lows this weekend. And I'm going to have a chance to meet with both of you later today. It'd be very helpful for me to think about when it went well, what was happening, and when it didn't go very well, what was happening then, because we can begin to get a sense of what's going on with the children, because we know they can behave, but at times they don't.
What a nightmare.
The two young mums, Hannah and Melissa, waste no time getting acquainted and get straight down to sussing out whose tearaways are the worst.
Yeah, you get shouting. You spend more time shouting than you do actually enjoying and spending time with
That's all I
kids.
do when I'm at home is shout, and they just laugh at you.
Yeah.
And it just, you get so tensed inside.
And you shout even louder and they're just laughing even more and you just... Not on the table, Jacob. When Will and Dan were young, we didn't used to take them to bed till like 1 o'clock in the morning. They would happily sit there and scream for 2-3 hours. You know, you try this supposed
we did that. We did that. Try to put them up. And they were banging, kicking hell out the door.
They've trashed in the room. Yeah. Will and Dan have ripped part of the wallpaper up and then ripped bits of books up, wet them and stuck them on so that you don't notice. So you supposedly don't see where they've ripped wallpaper.
I got a new couch. And what did they go and do? Felt pen all the way over it. And I was like, screaming. I was so crying. I was crying my eyes out because they'd ruined it.
We'll get there. I hope we do come out with something positive from this.
Yeah.
But Jacob, no!
Yeah.
Over the past few days, the house has seen 2 families leave, one come back, a new one arrive, and there's another one due back any minute. In the middle of it all, there's been no shortage of timeouts and tantrums from the tearaway toddlers. But we're about to see Elizabeth and Laverne's focus shift from the kids to the adults.
Just got no confidence whatsoever in myself, with the children as well.
You were saying that he thinks he didn't make me happy, so he didn't know whether we should still be together.
And Danielle Perkins is back to tell us how life is going in the real world. Once everyone has settled in, Elizabeth sits down with Melissa to see for herself how the shopping trip went.
No, not having any lollies at all. No. Do you want to go back in the trolley? Right, are you going to stop crying? Right, that's my ladder. Thank you. I'll put him in there. Put your name.
I'm just helping.
Yeah, you're helping as well. Good. There. Oh, that's it. Good boy. Good boy, good girl.
So, how did you feel after you'd got round the supermarket?
Relieved and proud.
So tell me how you go from that, which is such a positive experience, to the really difficult evening that you had with Sky at the restaurant. What were you feeling then?
Just angry. very much.
How could you tell?
I've got like a sweating feeling in my hands, in like my stomach.
Right.
It was like a tight feeling.
You talked to me about feeling agitated and feeling cross at times, but also I suspect that you feel quite low at times as well, and quite down and quite sad. Can you tell me a bit about that?
Just like in the morning, I'll just get up and I'm just like, I just know the day's not going to go well.
You have been quite depressed.
Yeah.
I want to think with you about how long you've been depressed, about what that's been like. Sort of talk to me about this depression.
I've had depression. I had it when I had our Lennon.
So
It's gone from like beginning right to now.
Wow.
But I've had to deal with it between me having Lennon and Sky. I've dealt with it more than I have now.
Right.
And then when I found out I was having Sky, it's just gone all downhill then from there. So I've had it, about coming up maybe 4 or 5.
And what's that like, living with depression every day?
Horrible. Sad. Just don't feel like getting up in the morning. Just got no confidence whatsoever in myself, with the children as well.
What effect has your depression had on your relationship with Gaz?
Where it's the point where we've not spoke, we've broke up from each other. I've gone to my mum's for like a week or so.
Why that way round? Why are you moving out of the house and not Gaz? How did that?
Because it's me. I'm the one that starts the moods. I'm the one that can't cope with the kids and stuff like that. So I've just told him, I've just said I need a break away from him, just so I can calm myself down, think, and then come back.
Because this has had a really serious impact on your relationship.
Yeah.
To the point where you were supposed to be getting married and that got called off.
Yeah.
I want to show you something actually that I found very powerful to watch.
Yeah.
Let's have a look at this.
I thought if we're going to get married, then it's just going to be the same, if not worse. So I just said to her like one day, I said, we'll have to call it off. So I'll postpone it for the time being.
Day doesn't go by where I just don't think about this wedding. My dress is actually at my mum's, and when I go up my mum's, I just can't stop going in the bedroom looking at my dress.
If the behaviour isn't going to get better, then Mel's going to get worse, and if it gets worse, then I probably won't stay around for it.
If the kids carry on and it comes to an end, it'd just break our hearts, both of us.
I mean, I thought that was very powerful when I watched that, and I can see the effect that it's had on you. So tell me about how it feels for you to see that.
Very upsetting.
Why?
It's just come to the point where the kids have come involved of us getting married.
This getting married was incredibly important to you, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but my sense is that it wasn't as important to Gaz.
No. We said we was going to get married, but it was just the way the kids were with me.
Right. So are you saying that the wedding was called off because of your depression or because of the children's behaviour?
Both.
Right.
Both.
Which of those most, do you think?
The way I am.
Your depression?
Yeah.
It sounds like what you're saying to me is, I'm depressed, so Gaz won't marry me until I stop being depressed. It sounds to me like you're being punished for being depressed. As if this is something that's under your control, and that if you wanted to, you could just stop being depressed and get better. So tell me about this arguing.
Just non-stop from him walking in from work. Because I've had a bad day with the children and stuff.
Right.
And I was just at him all the time, where it turned into an argument, and then Gaz wouldn't speak to me because I was going on so much.
So he stops talking to you?
Yeah, he stops talking to me.
And how long can that go on for?
About 3 days.
3 days?
Yeah.
Living in the same house, not speaking to each other?
Yeah.
What's the atmosphere like in your house when you're not talking to each other?
It's just wild. The kids are just all for the dad, more than me.
Okay, my first instinct is the atmosphere must be absolutely dreadful, and lo and behold, your children's behaviour goes through the roof.
Yeah.
Can you imagine what it's like to be living in that kind of tension and atmosphere, and what that is like for the children and their behaviour?
Yeah.
Yeah. I want to think a bit more about your connection and your relationship with the children, because I hear that you shout, I hear that you get cross, I hear that you say no.
Yep. I
which
also
is
smack him as well.
Right.
That's a big thing with me.
Right.
I'm smacking him all the time.
I need to pick that up with you, Melissa, because, you know, as you know, you cannot be smacking the children.
Yeah.
Okay, so we need to work very hard with you to help you find alternative strategies. What I'm hearing is a lot of the quality of your relationship with the children is mainly negative.
Yeah.
Do you have any positive connections with the children?
No.
Do you play with them?
I play with them, but they get bored.
What I really want to help you do is think about how you connect with your children.
Yeah.
How you can feel positive and happy about the time you spend with them, and help you think about some of this anger and frustration I think you carry.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that?
Great.
Okay, fantastic. Let's get back to the house.
As Melissa goes back to her family, newcomer Jacob is making his presence felt, and after just 2 hours in the house, he's on his 6th time out.
I think what we've seen with Jacob's behaviour, this very sort of explosive, reactive anger, is a little boy who's not learnt to regulate or manage or control his own strong emotions.
I think as well that he's picking up on everybody's strong emotions, isn't he? And he's the person, he's the little one who actually tells us how it is in this family. Seeing him in that time out, though, you sort of think, God, the fury and the rage, he just wants to pass that on to somebody else.
Yeah.
But actually, watching Jacob, he hasn't got the language skills perhaps some of the 3-year-olds would have. So if he's already struggling with his language skills, and I think we'll have to keep an eye on that, then how is he going to put into words how he's feeling?
This is a little boy who actually relies very little on words and a huge amount on his body, his kicking, his screaming.
Right, you. Out.
Oh, he's broken it.
Move. Stand back. Right, right. You went in there because you kicked me. Go.
That took a lot for him to hang on to, didn't it? And he could have punished him for breaking the gate.
Well done, Mark.
Very well then. I think part of our job here is to help these parents tune into what their children are telling them.
Well, it comes back to the same old thing of, you know, knowing that behaviour is a massive communication. The minute parents switch their thinking and realise that's actually what they need to be thinking, that's when things start to get better.
It's now lunchtime and the Morgans are on their way back into the house. Before they left, Elizabeth discovered a huge split in this couple's parenting.
So if you get really aggressive and up the ante, you can get some control then, but otherwise no. And Stacey, you don't feel like you can get any control at all?
No, I'm too soft.
Stacey in particular is struggling with 3-year-old Maddox and 2-year-old Leisha.
Lily, Leisha, don't ignore me.
So over the weekend, like Melissa, she's also been out shopping on her own with the kids and will be telling Elizabeth how it all went.
Welcome back to the Morgans.
I'm quite excited about the Morgans coming back. Stacey had a really difficult couple of days. I mean, she was incredibly tearful, so on edge last week. You know, there were moments when I thought she was just going to crumble. And from what we've been told, you know, given Stacey's initial shock and horror, when I gave her the homework task, we've heard that she's done quite well, actually.
Oh, hello. Oh,
Hello.
hello. The new phone.
Hello, mate. How's it going? All right? I'm Paul. That's Stacey.
Hello.
Nice to meet you.
I'm Hannah. That's Daniel.
William.
Thomas. Jacob.
Wow, you got your hands full.
Ow.
All right, Melissa. How's it going? All right?
Yeah, 2 steps, yeah. They are as well, but they look
Oh
tilted.
dear, it's our cup of coffee. Hey, what we got here then?
It's broke. The battery's gone dead on
They've
it.
disconnected the radio part.
Oh, have they?
Yeah. Oh, I think it's just a plug underneath it, stick it back on.
And the aerial's broke. The first family's brought the aerial.
Hello, Lennon.
Say hello to Paul.
How's it going, mate? All right?
There are now 6 adults and 9 children in the house, and as the parents get to know each other, the kids descend into total chaos, breaking nearly every rule in the house. Inevitably, things start to kick off, and before long, there's an injury for Maddox and a time-out for William.
You're going the easy way then. You, sit down. You're going to go in after. Sit.
Get him out.
Right, you went in there because you punched me. Out. And you're in there because you just punched me.
As the twins get used to life behind bars, Stacey is quizzing newcomer Hannah.
The oldest to a 5.5, the youngest to a 3.
So whose is in the family of twins?
Neither.
Neither, and you've got 2 lots. You don't have any more.
No. I'm 23.
Are you?
Never do that again.
Oh my God.
Love them to bits, but they drive me absolutely
I'm not
wild.
surprised. How do you actually cope with twins? Like,
you have to.
Yeah, but how?
I don't know.
How do you do it?
Oh, what do you mean,
In case-
feeding or...
Yeah.
Yeah, one on each side.
On the bed?
In that case, yeah, love mum.
Yeah, in case of when one wakes up the other one?
If one wakes up, when they were young, when one wakes up, you woke the other one up, so you feed them together, so you're not having to get up 50 times. Yes, I don't know how to describe it because it was just a case of
going teething. Oh my God.
Let's have a look and see.
Only one parent gets a reprieve from the madness, and that's Stacey, who is called into the consultation room by Laverne. It's her turn in the spotlight as they sit down to see if the supermarket trip with the kids went as badly as she thought it would.
Should I put yours in the front so you don't break it? Maddie? Come and put yours in the front for me. See where the other ones are? See where the other ones are? You're going to put them in there? Oh, it's a good boy. Well done. We're going to have some nice, lovely flowers in the garden now, aren't we? Well done, guys. Can you get me a cucumber, Maddie? Oh, thank you. Oh, thank you. I can't see potatoes. Are you heading me towards it, are you?
You got some potatoes.
Oh, thanks. Are they heavy? Maybe you and Lily could do it together or not. Okay. Do you know what garlic looks like? Garlic is in a purple bag.
Okay.
Do you know, garlic makes you stink. Ugh. Lily, can you see what that is? Do you know what that is? What is it?
A banana.
A banana. Shall we get these? What is it? A banana.
What did you think?
I think to keep their attention I've got to act like a prat.
Is that what you thought?
Yeah. Sort of act more like one of them instead of anything else.
I mean, I didn't think that you were acting like a prat, I have to say. I thought that you were doing a very good job of really being quite appropriate in your language, the way in which you spoke to them. I think you're being very clear. I think you were being very attentive, and I think you were giving them lots of praise and encouragement. And you were doing the fantastic thing of really noticing their every move. And I felt that, you know, what you were able to do was very impressive. And you very quickly said, when I had my quick chat with you, well, that's because I was on my game. That was because I felt well. Rather than being able to take the pat on the back that I was trying to give you.
Yeah, I'm not very good with compliments.
Right.
I don't know, I think part of it is knowing that I should be like that all the time with them anyway.
Okay.
And focusing completely on them.
Right. So it's something about the guilt of knowing that, yeah, I could be like that all the time, but actually I'm not. I want to build on that fantastic piece of work that you did, where you were super parent, you know. I mean, we could use that as a video for how to take your child shopping, really. We've got to build on that and move your skills that you have got forward. When you have to tell the children off, what goes through your mind?
Am I doing it for the right reasons, or is it just me?
Right, so there's a moment of doubt. I get the sense from you that it's so difficult to have authority without it feeling quite harsh or quite horrible, because when you have to discipline children, often you need to take quite a tough line. And I think sometimes you don't want to do that because of the way it leaves you feeling.
Probably, yeah. I want them to always be able to come to me, and I don't think they will if I end up being a bad guy. I don't want my kids scared of me.
Right. And that comes from a very real place for you, I know, which is that your own growing up experience was quite complicated and complex.
I had my brother bullying us, like me and my other brother, so a bit. And then I went to school and got bullied at school.
Right. So not a very safe world for you. So who did you turn to? Just trying to think.
Nobody.
Right. So where did you get your resources from for?
Well, at 13 I met Morgan's dad, and because he showed me attention and made me feel good about myself, I sort of went with him and decided to have a baby to love me like someone else should.
Okay, so you've made a very conscious decision, having found somebody who loved you and wanted to look after you, to then have a baby that you could then love and have love you in a way that you hadn't had that experience. So let's just move on a little bit. What was your feeling about meeting Paul? Because obviously it feels to me that you were still looking for somebody who could love you in the way that you wanted to.
I was with someone else when I met Paul.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, there's something clicked. I just knew that it was him that I was supposed to be with, and so I sort of broke up that relationship and went straight into a relationship with Paul. We lived together quite quickly as well. It's been quite intense. Like, it was on and off so long because he used to lie to me.
So you've had a complicated sort of early life together.
Yeah.
But very clearly in love now and very much together.
Yeah. He's still very insecure though.
It's not something I pick up from him straight away.
He comes across as confident, but he's really not. Sunday, you send it. He thinks he didn't make me happy, so he didn't know whether we should still be together. That he does make me happy and there's no one else I want to be with, but he thinks that I'm just going to run off. But I'm not. I can't get it through to him that I'm not.
You're in a tricky place, you two.
Yeah.
Okay. What's it like for you being back?
I don't know, I'm hoping to see a lot more sort of happen within us this week.
We're going to spend some time trying to build on the real authority and the real presence that I saw at the weekend, in order that it doesn't just stop there and you don't say, actually that's just because it was a good day. Because actually I get the sense from your kids that they are crying out for some boundaries and some structure that will make them feel, yes, Mum's in charge. But it's you that's feeling, can I do this? If I do this, what will happen? And actually it doesn't result in my kids disliking me or hating me. And what I hope to be able to show you is that your children are not going to collapse and run off and run for the hills just because you put in a bit of structure and say to them, actually, I want it done my way.
Back in the house, the chaos is still in full flow, with all of the kids in the time-out pen.
Stop it.
Maddox, get out of there. I don't want you two playing in there. That is where you go when you're naughty. Get out.
Come on out. Thank you.
Let's play waiting class.
As a fragile Stacey comes back from her consultation, she's given an immediate opportunity to try being more assertive with Tearaway son Maddox.
They exercise. Ow! You. Careful with it. In there. Don't stay here with it.
Lenny!
Where's my inhaler gone?
Sky, come here.
Thomas?
Sorry.
Ow.
going to say sorry? Can you say sorry then? Because you don't bite people, let alone them, mate. Can you say sorry?
Yeah, okay.
Maddox.
Have a drink. Stop running.
No!
Sky, come here.
No!
Jacob,
No! 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 I want to get...
Nice bottle of Malibu, go down really well now.
Wouldn't last long.
Well, let's leave that lot to it for a while. So do you remember Danielle and her swearing son, Ethan? Well, they're back. One of the first people to ever stay in the house of tiny Tearaways was 21-year-old single mum Danielle Perkins, who was struggling to cope with her 2.5-year-old son, Ethan.
Go. Go. Go.
His constant swearing and rebellious nature was making Danielle lash out.
Get out your mouth! Get it out your mouth!
And she was constantly aware of drawing attention to herself in public.
I don't tend to interact with other mothers because I feel they're looking their nose down at me. That, oh, here's another young mum, she won't be able to control her child.
All these pressures meant she relied heavily on her mum for support.
It's Matthew.
No, put it down.
Just hours after entering the house, Elizabeth made Danielle face some difficult home truths.
There is a link between what you are saying to Ethan, the words that you are using, and his behaviour.
It's not fair on it.
After advising her to try a more gentle tone and be more playful, they quickly saw Ethan's bad behaviour completely disappear. After just 24 hours of non-stop praise, cuddles and absolutely no swearing, Danielle and Ethan headed home. But how have things gone since they've left the house? Both mum and son are back to give Elizabeth the lowdown on their progress.
Hello. Hello. I'm kind of shy, aren't you?
Oh dear.
Hi. So tell me how it's been going.
Fantastic.
Really?
He has obviously had his bad days, like any child. He can't be perfect all the time.
Yeah.
But he's just so good. He's calmed down. His bedtime routine is fantastic. He doesn't argue with me when he goes to bed. He's asleep within 10 minutes of being in his bed, and he's actually in his own, not in mine.
Ethan, Mummy's telling me what a good boy you are. I'm very proud of you.
We're going outside to see teddy bears that they're going to the park.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You're going to see the teddy bears and you're going to go to the park?
Yeah.
Ethan is taken outside to play by a childminder so that Danielle and Elizabeth can talk freely.
He knows.
Actually, it has been quite an amazing transformation, really, and I wanted to kind of talk a bit about that with you without Ethan necessarily overhearing what we're saying. So one of the things that really stuck with me about our conversation was you saying very early on about how you felt young mums were perceived and about how you thought people looked at you when you were out with Ethan and being judged. So tell me where you are now with that.
I don't take any notice. I was shopping with him the other day and he wanted a toy. He already had the toy.
Yes.
I said to him, "You're not having it." And he threw a tantrum and I just ignored him. And people were just looking at me, but I didn't take any notice of what they were looking at or if they said anything to me. And then because he wouldn't stop, I went over, I picked him up. I said to him, "You know, that's naughty, Mummy's upset because you've behaved like this." And he stopped.
Calm down. Thinking about your life now with Ethan, is this more what you imagined being a mum would be?
It is. Yeah, I know my mum said before maybe I expected too much of Ethan. I expected him to be this perfect child, but I don't anymore. No. He's a normal 2-year-old. And now it's just, it is how a mother and child should be. It is a perfect relationship.
Just normal relationship. Oh, it's so fantastic to hear you say that. And I want you to think about what your relationship with Ethan was like before and then why perhaps you were spending as much time with your mum as you were.
I was probably at my mum's lot because of coping with Ethan on my own. I didn't want to do it. I wanted that help. I wanted, you know, if he was doing something and I couldn't control him, I wanted my mum to step in and say, "Ethan, you shouldn't be doing it all."
I do have one last question. How's the swearing?
No swearing.
Gone!
It's gone. No swearing. Because he's not getting angry, I'm not shouting at him.
Yeah.
He hasn't, and because I'm not swearing as well, he hasn't done it, so
well done, sweet. I'm so proud of you. Give me a big hug. It's fantastic.
Cheers, it's thanks for your help.
The arrival of the Norwood family has thrown the house into complete chaos, and with the arrival of 4 extra kids, Elizabeth and Laverne are going to be run ragged. Join us next time on the all-new House of Tiny Tearaways.
The telly goes off, it's time for bed.
Get laid down! Lay down!
Psycho springs to mind.
666.
My mum suffered a stroke at 26.
Yeah, I literally sit there feasting on the puzzle pages and everything.
Oh, lovely.
Time out. We're still using it.